Shut up and sit down.
Generation Gaming is the video game news outlet made for the gamers by the gamers. Join the revolution to put the gamer's voice first. Now, from Generation Studios, this is the Generation Gaming Podcast. Here are your hosts, the voice of Generation Gaming, Jay Lewis, and special guest host, MightyMeSeeks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Generation Gaming Podcast. I am Jay Lewis at your service once again. And today I am joined by a special guest all the way from California. Good buddy, MightyMeSeeks. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? MightyMeSeeks here. Good to be on the show, man. Thank you for having me.
This is cool. It's the first time we went to high school together and fellow gamers, but he is on the Sony side, but we won't get into that. But you know, before we get into the news and headlines, we do a little programming update. I wanted to put out there real quick. Like a lot of people know, I'm gonna do. We're Generation Gaming is gonna do an E3 podcast special. Podcasts, plural. It's in two. We're going to do one is going to be after the major press conferences, like I said before, and then the last one is going to be on Friday, the day after E3, kind of giving a rundown of E3 in itself. But there's a switch to that. Nintendo just released their press conference, finally. I don't know what they were waiting for, but it's only like a few weeks away. But their press conference is going to be like it was last year, and it seems to always be. It's going to be a Tuesday at 9 a.m. That's the same day I was going to do the first podcast after the press conferences, so we're going to still do it at the same time. But I haven't released any times when exactly that's going to be recorded. But nonetheless, so no different, same time, same place. All right, so normally on the Generation Gaming Podcast, is a monthly podcast, we do news and headlines, video game releases, and the Generation Soapbox. Well, today, I just thought that since recently the games that I've been putting on the video game releases, last two Generation Gaming podcasts have been kind of the same, because I like to kind of give it a month or two worth of content. So today, there's not going to be we're not going to talk about any video game releases. It's going to be news and headlines, MightyMeSeeks experiences with some of the stuff we're going to talk about, and his thoughts on the gaming industry. And then we're going to do the Generation Gaming Soapbox. That's going to be on PlayStation Network, PlayStation Now, and then just how companies are kind of, well, not to be literal, but they're jewing us over. They are. Like with their unreleased BS that they're giving us. But anyway, let's start out with Resident Evil 7. They are their next DLC. As they came up with the two DLC packs, the Volume 1 and Volume 2 banned footage. And I bought the Season Pass, and I personally enjoyed all of it. It literally is a bunch of mini games, except for the one. Volume 2 has Daughters on it, which is a story. It's short, but it basically shows you how the Baker family became crazed and the way they are, which is actually really good if you love the story, which I personally did. But before we get into the DLC, not a hero DLC, that's the free DLC that Capcom is going to give us here pretty soon. But how did you like Resident Evil 7, MightyMeSeeks?
So, I normally don't even really play Resident Evil games. I played the original one on PlayStation, like when it first came out, scared the crap out of me as a child.
Horrible camera angles.
And then for me, it kind of veered off into like that, action genre where it was just fighting waves of zombies and stuff, in my opinion. So for me to play this one, I played the I think I played the open beta first.
Right.
And I played it as if I was like a real person in the house, and it freaked me out, and I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I've been disappointed with these like horror genre games before. Let me try it out.
Right.
So I played it, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I was gonna like it.
Yeah.
It was weird because I expected it to be kind of like this jump scare filled horror thing. Because I kind of figured with the way they marketed it, it was like, okay, they're clearly going to be doing something different than they previously done with the last like 3 or 4 Resident Evil games.
Right.
So I'm pretty excited about it. Get back to the roots, and it kind of was this blend of like this creepy horror survival, but also like this action first person shooter.
Oh yeah.
And it was weird because I like that blend with that, like with the blend of like the horror element you got a little bit of action, but not too much where you're just playing Doom and you're just killing everything really easily. But, like, they also had the narrative in there, which Capcom, like, they love their narratives. But this one was really good. I was actually interested. I was like, what? I'm playing as a character. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I'm trying to figure it out as I'm playing. So I actually really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I really I liked it a lot. And like you said, the demo that they gave us was what I did like about that is most demos that you get are part of the game you're going to buy, and this was not. This is a completely different character you're playing in the demo. It was an hour long. You could beat the demo. Apparently, you can get out of the house, and I didn't know that. I never did, but But I just felt like it was kind of the fact that they took the time to do that. I mean, I know it's just an hour, but like most companies won't do that. They'll just give you something that's already you're going to get, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when I first saw it, I kind of like, especially when I saw the trailers, I'm like, I feel like it's a Resident Evil style, like the items and the gameplay you're used to. Maybe not the camera, because that's the first person. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they ever done a first person. Maybe one. I don't remember, but that was new. I almost felt like it was. I'm like, this is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre inside of Resident Evil, but it wasn't. It was much more appealing to that. When like my dude got his hand cut off in the beginning of the game, I'm like, oh shit! And then I'm running around with a stub. I'm like, like, and you had to find a way to get your hand put back on. Like, it was crazy. I love that. And although how I didn't die, a character didn't die was a little baffling, but I guess that's
video game logic.
Yes, that's it. It must be it. But I see the thing with I know you said you had mixed feelings about the DLC because we were talking about how it was before we did the show. It was kind of like I said, it was mini games. One of the mini games is basically I hate to compare it to zombies and Call of Duty, but that's kind of what it's. Let me just say survival. I won't compare it like that because that's not fair. It's basically a survival. You're stuck in the basement. You don't play you're not the main character. You're the guy you played in demo. You wake up in the basement inside the boiler room with all the not the boiler room, with all the ovens with the mortuary kind of thing, whatever. And you can like upgrade your guns. You can upgrade your health. You can upgrade your speed, kind of stuff like that. You have like. It's not waves, it's actually time. You start at midnight or 1 a.m. and then you have to survive till 5 or 6 a.m. I don't remember which one it is. But it's not easy. You have to upgrade yourself as you go along, and then the characters get harder. Basically, the more the hours go up, is when you face the battered enemies in the game, if you will, like the harder ones. But it was kind of fun. I didn't beat that. I got to the end and died, and I just had to go do something else before it's one of the moments where you get so close and then you just blow it, and then you're just like, man, fuck this game, and I throw this shit out the window. Like, like I was not, but and then I know I'm trying not to ramble, but the other one was the blackjack. That was really interesting because it's not blackjack. It's you got to get to 21, or you got to get the close to 21 as you can, but not get to 21. And you have to beat the other person that's tied up. Your hand is stuck to a well, I guess the best we can call it is a finger cutter. And every time you lose a hand, you lose a finger. And each hand, the second hand, 2 fingers, third hand, 3 fingers. Well, then it goes up to like the electrocution chair and then other stuff, and then finally, whoever doesn't die wins. So if I don't die, then I win. But that's just some. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know. But that's a couple, and there's some other ones too. I mentioned the daughter one. And another one is you get stuck inside of a bedroom. And the mom, you have to figure out how to escape a bedroom. That's literally all it is. It's pretty initial. I think it's worth it, but what were your mixed feelings about it?
Well, you know how I feel about DLC. I'll always have some negative things to say about DLC, but when you use it correctly, it can really enhance the gameplay because, with this little like Saw DLC with the whole blackjack and losing your fingers. And having to try to escape the room with the mom. Let me tell you right now, little side thing. That mom was really creepy, man.
Yeah.
When she was just
oh my god.
Shoot things out of vagina. I was like, oh my god. I had to stop because it wasn't scary. I was just like, nah, I'm not. I can't do this right now. That's too much. That's too much. But like, the house itself was scary, and then later on, when you leave the house and go to the ship and do all that stuff, like, that was fine. Yeah. But the house, to me, was the scariest thing because you didn't know where anything was. You didn't know what was going to jump out at you. Sometimes nothing jumped out at you, so you weren't really scared, but it was still scary, like, I don't know. So I don't mind these DLCs because you're kind of. It seems like the DLC is focusing on other aspects of the house in the form of a different character. So to me, I'm looking at that stuff like, maybe these, and in the game, they mentioned that other people came to that house and they were all missing. Yeah. And then this guy, the main character, I forget his name, Steve or something. Every guy in a horror movie's name is Steve. So I don't know why.
I don't even remember, but I know there's one thing. There's not one black person in the whole game, except the cop. Oh my God, when that cop got killed, I was like, damn. I'm like, come on, brother. What are you doing, man? You should have known better.
As soon as I saw him, he was like, hey, man, come to the window. I was like, well, he ain't going to make it that scene. I just knew it. And sure enough, homeboy come and stab him with a shovel. I'm like, well, damn. Damn it, Rondell. You didn't make it. Like, where's your backup? Why are you out here by yourself, man? But that's a whole, if you do a podcast on scary movie stuff, we can talk about that. But
no, like that really surprised. I'm not surprised he died, but just the way he died, I'm like, dude, I'm like, with a shovel? Like, really? You gonna shut? I was like, well, damn.
He had no dignity. He was just like, come on, man. Like, you've been black long enough to know you can't be just looking in one direction a long time. You got to turn around a couple times.
What's even worse?
I gotta let everybody know I'm black, so I can say those things. But, it's all good.
It's fine. But, I got a lot of black friends, so I just kind of go with it. But what's even worse is that cop. They used him later. You had to stick your hand in his neck through his throat to get whatever piece you needed. I'm like, damn, these some sick motherfuckers. I'm like, that's wrong.
Yeah. But I like that. I like when these horror games do horror things, and they don't have to do it. You don't have to go over the top to scare me.
No, you really don't.
The house was enough. Like the whole game could have been me just walking in the house and nothing happened. I'd still been freaked out. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do a lot to scare nobody. And I like how they did enough Resident Evil stuff to make it a Resident Evil game with those little like those tar monsters. I don't know what they are. The little
I
black
don't even
things.
Call them things. I forgot.
I like that. And then at the end, they went back to their Resident Evil stuff with little girls possessed with this thing. She's trying to kill everybody and all that stuff. Like that was totally fine. Like I didn't mind that melding of those two styles. I thought they did it well. They showed a lot of restraint by not doing too much, and they showed enough to know like we got to do just enough to kind of keep you kind of hooked in. And boy, was I hooked. And I don't like scary movies. I play that game in the middle of the day. It'd be 11 o'clock in the morning when all the lights are on, and I still get scared.
I did I did it full, just the full thing. I did it I think it was like 9 o'clock, and it was pitch black. I turned all the lights off, turned the volume up, and it was like, I think the scariest part for me, honestly, and I jumped a couple times, but I was okay with it. I'm like, usually doesn't bother me, but like you said, the first time, when you're in the house, when you had to fight her, all the bugs or whatever swarming at you. Yeah. The first time she fell down in the hole with you, and then you look back down the hole and all you see is a big ass arm come out, and it grabbed her lantern. I was like, oh no, I'm not going in that hole. I'm not going in that hole. No, I'm pausing this game and playing something else. Like no. Like, this bitch turned into a spider.
I was terrified. I was screaming at the TV as if I wasn't controlling the character. I was like, get out! Oh, right, I'm controlling him. I gotta do this. I gotta move.
All right, well, let's basically, real quick, moving on to the DLC part. Not a hero expansion where you're supposed to play as the fan favorite character. What's his name? Oh God, he's in all the movies on the game. Chris Redfield.
Redfield.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to come out this spring, but they delayed it. And this is a free DLC expansion, a story expansion, which you don't get that from a lot of developers. Capcom's usually pretty good. They're not, for me. My favorite developers are Bethesda and Rockstar because they don't BS you. Honestly, I don't feel like they do anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway. They basically said that there's an unconfirmed date, but it's going to come out this summer. And they didn't want to... Let's see. Okay. From the producer, I said, and I quote, our aim is for this content to match the high quality of the main game, so we needed more development time in order to achieve that goal. And then Capcom reassured fans that Not a Hero DLC will still be free, and they just wanted to... It's a further piece, I guess, of DLC, and then it's currently in the works. So there's more than just the free... Not a Hero DLC, which is kind of cool, because I was wondering about that, because I paid for the season pass. It was $30, and that's fine, because each DLC, the volume 1 and 2 band footage is $15 a piece, and it's like I'm pretty sure it's like 4 items on each thing, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's two or three. I don't remember, but I felt like it was worth it because it's something you can go back to. It's like because each of them has like a high score kind of mentality to it. So if you wanted to beat it, I guess, whatever. And then, but I know one thing. I don't know about you, but I'm a big achievement person. I'm an achievement whore. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it now. And like I try to get all of them as much as I can. And one of them, I'm tempted to do it, is you got to beat the game in like 5 hours. I don't know how the hell you're supposed to do that. But like I know it's been done, obviously, but I'm tempted to try it because there's a bunch of achievements I want to go back and get myself. But it's just that's how I base my games when I play them. Is I look at the achievements and then I kind of go from there. But anyway,
I totally agree. Like I do the same thing. Like some achievements I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna get that. I'm not gonna beat that game in 5 hours. Or it took me 5 hours to talk myself into playing this game. I'm not doing that.
This is a cheat. Like for example, like what you're saying, like I didn't get that achievement in Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I recommend. I love it. It's awesome. There's an achievement for getting a sniper kill from a mile away. I'm like, damn, if you ever played that game, you sniping, you got to use the Coriolis effect. So, yeah, fuck that. It's not happening. Like, yeah. So, any game with sniping and Coriolis effect is just like, well, I got to aim this way. I'm going to blow the wind. I got to see, like, shit is ridiculous. Like, but,
I don't have time to be doing math.
Anyway, all right. Moving to the next headline. Zelda, the Breath of the Wild DLC on the news. Now, you said you're currently, when we talked about this, kind of when we kind of broke down how we were going to do the show, you said you got the Switch and the game as a birthday present. You didn't really say you were really gonna buy the console and the game, but until you played it, you kind of maybe changed your mind. How do you feel about the Switch and Zelda so far?
Well, like, I was interested in the Zelda game when they announced it, but I was hesitant to buy the Switch for many reasons. And because I don't own a Nintendo system. I don't have a Wii or Wii U. My sister has some of that stuff, and I'll play games on her. Right. So I was like, well, worst case scenario, I'll go home, I'll buy Zelda for Wii U and play it. But I got it for my birthday, so whatever, I want to play it.
Same here.
And I really, really enjoyed this Zelda game. It reminded me a lot of like the N64 Zeldas.
Right.
Where it was just so unforgivingly hard. Like, not hard, but just like, it was a game. What's up?
No, I'm sorry, I was agreeing with you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah. It's like a game that like kind of rewards you for like, oh, we assume that you know how to play video games. Figure it out. You're like, oh, really? Where most games are like, you'll turn the game on and be like, hi, welcome to the game. Look up, look down, push A to jump. You're like, come on, I know how to do this.
I don't need to.
Zelda's just like, oh, you turn the game on? Okay, well, here's a sword and some shoes. Go out there and save the Hyrule. You're like, wait a minute. How do I jump? Like, you'll figure it out. Like, oh, my God. But the game was great because, like, I actually had to strategize on how to, like, I couldn't just run up and just, like, super slaying everybody. I had to actually think about it. The graphics are great, but, I say that, like, with a grain of salt because in this day and age of technology, I expect the game to look really, really good.
Yeah.
But the gameplay was real. I had a lot of fun. It's so big that it took me I think I've racked up 95 hours of gameplay, and I just beat it.
That's pretty good.
And and I was just trying to get every single thing that I could, explore every little thing. But as far as buying the Switch, this is just my recommendation. This is just me playing the Switch and knowing what Nintendo is known to do.
Right.
I wouldn't buy the Switch until they got more games out that you might want to buy. Because right now they only have the only games that like you would really want to play is Zelda, which like I said earlier, you can play on the Wii U, and Mario Kart, which is the same Mario Kart that's been coming out since like 10 years.
Please,
not that it's not fun, but it's like it's not a game where I'm like, oh, I gotta go out and buy this. I'm like, oh well, I'll play it if I have it.
I'm thinking about this. This is a couple problems. Like me, now here at Generation Gaming, when before it came out, we reviewed the Switch and came to a preview. We really bashed it. And then when we did the first, like I just had so many issues with it, and I still believe those. I backed off a little bit, but like I was talking about the online they tried to take from Microsoft, and it's like PlayStation Now essentially is what their thing is. It's like, well, you can have the game for a month, but in a month we want it back. It's like, wait a minute, hold the fuck on, like, wait a second, like, excuse me, okay, that's their online, but anyway, but and then also like their the memory, what garbage memory? I know it's like the size, I understand that, but like I think it only gives you 32 gigs or 35 gigs to start off with. And some of the games are actually like 28 gigs or something like, well, actually, no. Sorry, let me correct myself. It's 35 gigs, and then you got to take 6 gigs away from the system preferences and all that crap. So it's like 26 or 25. So it's like, or 28. But it's like, come on, man. It's like, I just feel like for as much money as they charge $300. It could have been a little bit better on some of those fronts. But when we did the first video podcast for the Generation Gaming video podcast, Ono Sauce, who does the producer for all our videos, I played it for about 20 minutes. I was playing Zelda, and then I realized I forgot why we were there, and I was like completely forgot. I'm like, oh shit. So I like it. Zelda was fun, although I feel like Zelda is like, until you actually get some decent equipment and weapons, you're just going to die a lot.
Pretty much. You got a Splinter Cell and just sneak past everybody for about 30 hours before you get anything.
Yeah. Well, you're going to like this, because I know you said you beat it and you enjoyed it, and Ono Sauce, but he loved it as well. And then I'll get a Switch eventually. I need it to be less than $300 first of all to get it to play it, to be honest. But now they have more details on the DLC, their expansion. It's going to be 2 DLCs. So, first of all, it's called The Master Trials. The downloadable content is the pack with first of the 2 planned add-ons for Breath of the Wild. It's going to be scheduled to release this summer. There's not an exact date yet. And then the second DLC is going to arrive in the holiday season. But they're only available to buy together in Breath of the Wild for $20 expansion. I'm not really sure how much I like that. If they're making you buy the whole thing and you don't have a choice to buy them individually, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that's a smart marketing thing or business-wise. But, you know, I guess $20 isn't bad. But so here's what you get. There's no information on the second DLC, but this is what you get basically from the first one. It's going to bring a hard mode to the game, and it's going to increase the difficulty of the enemies that Link will face. So put it this way, the rank is going to be raised. For instance, I haven't played the game, so forgive me if I butcher the name of this enemy. The red what are they, Bokoblins? Is that what they're called?
Man, I've been playing this game. I be calling them the Bokoblins. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Well, anyway, the red Bokoblins will now be blue for the hard mode, and the players might even encounter higher ranking enemies that they never found in the current game on the whatever difficulty I guess you're playing now. So there's some different enemies. Let's see. I guess the enemies are going to have a tougher time. Link is going to have a tougher time sneaking up on the enemies in hard mode, more easily detected. You will regenerate health slowly. But this is... Okay, so I was reading, and this is apparently supposed to be a help for Link in the hard mode. And you'll see why I find this to be stupid after I read this. It says you'll see balloons holding planks in the sky over Hyrule. And if you get up there, you can collect, I guess, some new treasure. And then if you can manage to defeat the bad guys guarding it... How that is supposed to help Link, I'm not sure. So if I have to go through the hard-ass enemies first to get the so-called help, that's supposed to help me get to the hard-ass enemies later. Got it. Okay. So I just, like, how do you feel about, like, hard mode in some games? Like, sometimes I think they're just overly, unnecessarily hard, and some of them are, you know, they feel right.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes I can't do... There's some games where I'm just like, I'm not doing hard mode. Right. I can barely go through normal mode. But I feel like with the different type of gamers out there, you have to include a hard mode.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe an insane mode, just because some people want to have that extra challenge and, you know, just for themselves.
Right.
And it's kind of, for me, is like, you know, back when, you know, we grew up at a different time of gaming where it was just N64, PlayStation 1, all that stuff, where, you know... Beaming a game a certain way was more satisfying than, like, just purchasing things to help you assist in the game.
You didn't have updates either. We're going to talk about that later, but...
Yeah, we can talk about that later, but for this game, I thought it was hard enough on its own. Like, I'm sitting here... Because, you know, I cooked all my food. I powered myself up. I'm like, yeah, fence up. I leveled up my armor. I was like, yeah, I got this. And I go to fight some measly-ass little dragon thing, little goblin thing. He smacked me. He smacked me one time in the face, and half my life fell down. I fell down. I fell down a mountain. I kept rolling, and I fell in the river, and then I drowned. I was like, "Are you serious? That's hard." And it was like the first level. Like
Man,
it was like the first like hour of me playing. I was like, "Yeah,
funny.
I got this." That monster was like, "What are you doing here? Get out of my face!" I was like, "Oh no!"
It was funny you say that because I was playing the 20 minutes that I was playing it with Ono Sauce on his thing, whatever he was at in the game. I turned it on. He was getting sniped by some big giant. I don't know what it was, but it was getting like some arrows shooting him way on the other side of the damn map. I'm like, what the fuck? Every time I hit him, his health got so low. I'm like, dude, this is not. But I don't know. I mean, for like Resident Evil,
so much because the game didn't really care. Like you could play the game however you wanted to play. It was the difficulty was kind of there no matter where you went. I mean, there are some areas where enemies are harder than other areas.
Right.
But you could start out the game and go fight Ganon immediately after. You know, the game was like, if you want to, you can. Like I like that freedom in games.
I don't recommend
where it's like you can like go wherever you want to go, and you kind of have to adhere to what that area is. And it was just like, good luck to you. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, he knows. All right. See you later.
So.
Well,
I like.
Yeah, I like it too. I was thinking about that. Going back to Resident Evil 7, like I started playing it on the harder modes, and I don't know. That's going to take a minute because normal mode was ridiculous in itself. It's kind of what you just said about Zelda. Like I don't know what they're thinking. Like maybe if you get used to it, to be harder mode won't be so bad, which I don't call BS. But harder mode in Resident Evil 7. Because it wasn't scarce enough as it was. You have the same weapons, but you have ammo is much scarcer to find. I'm like, really? Come on, man! Like, how hard it is to kill some of this stuff. Like anyway, I'll give back all Jack. So the Master Trials first, it's going to be the Hero's Path mode for Breath of the Wild. It's good. Basically, what it does. Well, excuse me. Tracks every step Link takes and it marks it in green on the map. Now, the feature only works in a retroactively, i.e., but basically, put it this way, like any progress made before installing the DLC will show up, which is cool. I like that. Or it says that, but also at least the last 200 hours of footsteps, I guess, because that's the limit of tracking in Hero's Path. Now, I wonder. I was going to ask you when I read that. And you've obviously played it way more than I have. I beat the whole game. What's the point of the tracking, like the steps? Did they have that in the game, or is that the main game, or is this? Am I just reading something from the DLC and it wasn't?
Nah, they didn't have that in the main game.
Okay.
For me, knowing that, it sounds like because, like I said, that game is massive. It's not just like one area. It's like a damn continent.
Like Skyrim big.
Get around.
Like Skyrim big? I don't know if you ever played Skyrim, but that map is huge.
Oh yeah, I definitely play Skyrim. It's
or resembles.
I would probably say maybe Skyrim's a little bit bigger, but in the world of Zelda, this is pretty large.
Right.
I'd have to look at it to really get a good comparison.
No, I just guessed.
It's big. It's like
I definitely mean.
But doing this footstep thing, like there's a lot of secrets and like little like Easter eggs and things that you can't find. It's not going to be like, here I am. You have to actually like explore things. So I could see a usage of having that tracker of where you've been, because there are places where I was like, damn, I didn't even know that place existed. Let me go check that out over there.
I love that in RPGs, man. Like, especially like with Fallout 4, I love doing that. Finding all the little tiny stuff like Easter egg stuff or like weapons in general, like stuff you wouldn't normally, you really got to work and explore. That's why I love RPGs out of any other kind of game besides not or Call of Duty Zombies with that. But like, I love going out and exploring and trying to find every little thing. But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good, because I totally agree. I like that RPG aspect where like you literally like the game literally is however you approach it. Like you can go and mess around and not do anything and just mess around in this one area for as long as you want to and totally explore, or you can just go straight through the game and do the main missions. I like having that option because sometimes I'll be like, you know what, Hyrule, you're gonna have to wait. I'm gonna go here and go hunt some mushrooms because I'm hungry, and you're gonna be all right. I'm gonna go look for this weapon over here. This game has so many things in it where, like, when you find it, you're like, damn, that's pretty cool. It's not some of the stuff isn't really detrimental to the actual story at all. Some of it's just for like you as a gamer, like it rewards you for, hey, you decided you want to explore this random location. Guess what? Here's something for you. And it might not be a big thing, but like if you're a fan of RPGs and you like exploring games like that, you'll find that little victory for taking 5 hours to find there's a remote island in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, there's stuff like that. Like it's
that.
a lot of games like that, like Fallout, for instance. I know I'm trying to sound redundant, but that game, like I love Fallout 4 as much as their issues. It wasn't as good as 3 in some ways. Like maybe the voice. Only my issue with Fallout 4 was you didn't have your interactions with people didn't have as many consequences as 3 did. 3, you'd get hunted down by mercenaries. And that didn't, not that I need to get hunted down, but I felt like your actions and consequences didn't really have much of an effect. They did to an extent, but it was very minimal. But anyway, I digress. So the other part of the DLC for Zelda, the first part is it's called The Trial of the Sword. Now Link will begin without any weapons, no armor, and a room full of enemies. If you can kill them all, then you gain passage to the next area in all. Now, the trial sword will offer approximately 45 rooms, and then the reward, I guess, seems almost like it will be worth the effort, apparently. They didn't say what. I guess when you make it all the way through, the true power of the Master Sword will awaken and always be in its glowing, powered up state, whatever that is supposed to mean. I guess if you played the game, it'll make more sense. But that is another part of the DLC. Almost sounds like I want to call it an arena mode, but that's like the best way I guess you would explain it. But if you're moving from place to place. But also you get some other items as well, like, let's see here. Travel medallion. There'll be a new treasure chest somewhere in the game world which contains the travel medallion. With the travel medallion, players you can create a temporary new travel point on the map where they are currently standing, and Link can then transport himself to that point at any time. But only one travel point can be registered on the map at a time. Also, get actually, before I go to the next item, so is there no fast travel in this game? You walking everywhere?
No, there is fast travel. Okay. But the thing is instead of dungeons, they have these shrines that you have to, like, these little mini puzzles you have to solve, so you can get increase your heart and stamina, and you unlock these towers that basically unlocks the map, because that's like, the rule of open world games: unlock the tower, unlock this portion of the map. Right. So those act as your fast travel points. So having this travel medallion is not. I mean, it's useful if you want to fast travel to like a really like obscure place and just have that there, and so you don't have to run up the mountain every time. But I found because I found all 120 shrines, so I can just fast travel to literally anywhere on the map. But if you're playing and you haven't found all those shrines and you just want to have this spot here for fast travel there's no shrine over there, I can see that being useful. But I mean, I don't really. I totally get it. I don't really think that's a big part of the game, having that fast travel medallion, but I'll use it. I mean, I'm not going to not use it.
It's almost like kind of what you said, like getting the shrines. I love stuff like that in games, like finding stuff. I will literally go out of my way and don't do anything else and try to find all those collectible items until I get the achievement or I get them all. Like, I'll stop myself and do just that. I love stuff like that. But let's see. Next item is called the Korok Mask. It says, by finding the new Korok Mask, players will have a much easier time finding Korok locations in the game. And then when equipped, the mask will shake, indicating that a Korok is hidden somewhere nearby. What's a Korok?
All right, a Korok is one of these little creatures that, you find them around the place. They have these Korok seeds, and when you find them, they give you the seed, and then when you talk to, I forget his name, he's like this big Korok. He's like this big dude, and you exchange those seeds for inventory slot upgrades. Because in the game you have minimum space for your weapons. So like when you start out, you only have space for like 5 weapons or something like that. But you can upgrade your inventory slot to hold more weapons throughout the game, because the weapons break after a while. So you want to have as many weapons as possible. And they're hard to find, man. Like if you're not paying attention, like you're not going to catch them, because you have to solve these, like, they're not puzzles, but these like little obscure things. Like, for example, like say you're gliding off a mountain and you look down on this little plateau and you see like a ring of rocks, but there's one slot missing. You got to find that rock and put the rock on that ring. It's usually like right next to it. Right. And then like he'll pop up and like, "Oh, you found me. Here's a seed." You're like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know what those were. Like I was collecting those things for like the first part of the game. I had no clue what they were for. I was like, I guess I'll keep these. I don't know. But like they're really like, if you're not paying attention, if you're not looking for them, you're not going to see them. And they're usually like random things in the game. Like if something looks out of place, it's probably a Korok. You should probably see what it's about.
That's probably why they made that mask.
You're going to walk right past it.
Yeah, that mask, I guess, to help you find stuff easier. I guess I assume that's what that's meant for.
Yeah, because I think there's like over 900 of those things.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot.
All right, well, and finally, for that first DLC, there's going to be new equipment. There's going to be 8 new pieces of equipment inspired by previous characters and games in the series, and they're going to be added to the legend after downloading the first DLC pack. I guess once it's discovered by the player, you can wield equipment themed after fan favorite games, like I said, and characters such as probably going to say this wrong, Midna, Tingle, Phantom, and Majora's Mask. So, and that is the first DLC expansion that's going to be released this summer. But like I said, there is no set release date from Nintendo. All right, moving on to something that I know my co-host is really going to go off on probably. Is Bioware is Montreal studio. That is the studio that gave us Mass Effect Andromeda. They are scaling down, and also that correlates because into Mass Effect, the series itself is being put on, well, quote unquote, ice, if you will, for a time. But it's not going to go away, obviously. So what I have found out, I guess, BioWare has said that they are going to put Mass Effect on hiatus and turn, I guess, Andromeda's developers of BioWare Montreal into a support studio, not completely shutting it down. According to 4 sources that I found from the company itself. That doesn't mean you're never going to see Mass Effect game. Of course you're going to get one, but I think it's more like, or it's unlikely. I think that BioWare would kill it. It just wouldn't make any sense. I know that Andromeda got some really weird reviews. It wasn't, it was very mixed. But then again, I talked to some friends of mine, gamers, and they kind of said it to me almost like how I kind of explained Fallout 4. That game was awesome, but it had tiny bit problems in there that was kind of like, The game was great as a whole. Do you kind of feel that same way about Andromeda?
Yes. Mass Effect Andromeda got a lot of negative reviews and press, and, I can't really defend that negative. I can't defend against it. They deserved the negative stuff they got, but I don't think they deserved to be, it wasn't a bad game.
No.
I think the problem that I saw, this is all me speculating. This is just me as a gamer playing that game.
Of course.
And playing the Mass Effect trilogy, the original one, which was one of my favorite trilogies, game series in gaming.
Right.
Up there with Skyrim and The Witcher and all that, and the Arkham series, one of my favorites too.
I played 20 minutes of the first one, and that was all I ever played. And that's nothing against it. I need to get back into it.
It's not something that you would like. Once I got into it, I'm like, yeah,
right.
I'm not, it's one of those games that I just really enjoy because I
totally understand.
But this one, I felt like was trying to live up to the hype and the expectations of the last trilogy. For me, the last trilogy was amazing because of the narrative and the characters and the character development in that series, and following one character through one game all the way through the third game and finding that progression, and the story made sense and you felt so accomplished getting to the end, even though the third one's ending was garbage.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about that. Mass Effect Andromeda, to me, and I'm not going to talk about the problem they had with the facial expressions. There's only 1 or 2 that I saw.
Bug-eyed characters.
Yeah, they were looking at me and they're like, "Oh no, my child is dead." I'm like, "My God, you have no soul! You're just staring at my eyes. Stop that!" But I'll say some good things about it first before I totally kick it in the face. The gameplay was really good. The controls are really good. It was definitely an upgrade from the last series. I really thought it was nice and fluid. They had a lot of different features to the game. To the gameplay itself and the mechanics that I really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot easier and not as static and robotic as the last series. I thought that was exciting. I was like, wow, you did that pretty well. It almost seemed like the studio focused solely on the gameplay aspect, and that's when I saw a lot of the trailers and the gameplay of it. That's pretty much what it was. But man, I gotta tell you, man, the story was pretty craptacular. I'm not gonna lie. It was the most generic stories I've ever seen.
That's what I heard.
That cookie cutter thing where it's like,
that's bad.
All right, I'm just gonna give real brief. I outline of it, you start out on this group called the Pathfinders. Your job is to find a home for the colonies escaping the events of the Mass Effect trilogy. So I like that they did a lot of callback to the last trilogy. I like that. So you get there and you're playing these characters. You can play as Scott or Sarah Ryder. They're twins. You can pick which one, male or female. And your father is basically the Pathfinder. And you're like pretty much on the team because you're his kid, basically. That's basically what it is. You're on the team because you're his child. So you're thinking like, okay, he's going to take that role of Shepard from the original trilogy. Nope. Daddy dies in the first segment. And like, well, damn. So now you're the character, you're playing that character who has pretty much adopted that role as the leader without any experience. That kind of irritated me. And then you have this whole, so now you're expected to basically fix every problem in this galaxy with no training. You're like, oh, okay, too easy. All right, got it. Now, I will say this. The characters that you play, they're not special.
Right.
Like, the character you play, there's nothing special about them. I know you haven't really played the last trilogy, but in the last trilogy, when you're playing as Commander Shepard, he's going against all these odds, and he has to pretty much save the galaxy from this, Reaper invasion that's trying to wipe out all organics.
Right.
And he at least has experience as a soldier and a leader. So he has something where it's like, well, he may not be good at this, but damn it, he ain't gonna give up. He's basically Space Captain America, essentially. Okay. But in this one, it's just like you have this AI implanted in your head that basically does everything for you. Like it tells you everything. It helps you out with basically without this AI, you're nothing special. You're just a dude in space.
I get
That's pretty much it. That kind of irritated me.
No, I get that. Yeah, that sounds like it would be. That's what I heard a lot about the story, and then it sounded so bland. And for this day, it's really that's. I'm sorry to say that, but that's laziness. That's exactly what that is. Like, there's no reason for that. Like, there's so many good writers for video games nowadays that it's not, something. Because I know that Andromeda was originally envisioned supposed to be a reboot for the franchise, I guess, because they went through a brutal development process for several reasons, including like their technological challenges and major scope change, I guess, late in development, and people are familiar with the game. And then the reception, like I said, was lukewarm. People were like just the writing and the animation, like we just said. And Andromeda was the first game that was headed up by Bioware Montreal, which they started out in 2009. And Montreal were the ones that gave us the DLCs for Mass Effect 2 and 3. So they didn't really go through the whole game. DLCs are much shorter of a process, obviously. And they contributed to that. And I mean, let's see, where did I have it here? I'm just trying to say. This is from Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson. He told investors that the publisher that is they're very happy with BioWare, how BioWare is doing, and how BioWare is treating Mass Effect, and our expectations for Mass Effect are still strong for the future and the franchise overall. And Wilson also, he went and said to put a great deal of emphasis on live service games. BioWare's new IP is one, and that's the studio's main focus, apparently at the time being. And apparently we're going to see that at E3. You're not going to... So and they're going to put Mass Effect on the shelf, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes games need that. It's because Mass Effect was one of those games you didn't get every year. That's why GTA is so good. That's why Fallout is so good, because it's not every year. It's not like your Assassin's Creed, which they learned their lesson, and Call of Duties, which come out every year, or Madden, or sports games. I guess kind of makes sense. I can understand Madden. That kind of makes I can understand that. But like I always felt like they did the Call of Duty thing. Now it's 3 different companies making it, but you're still going to get one every year. So it's supposed to be a little better, even though they haven't been. But that's a whole other podcast we've already discussed in previous times. But what I was saying was, I guess a number of employees from BioWare Montreal are being transferred over to Studio EA Motive, which is also based in Montreal. And they're working on Star Wars Battlefront 2. That's a plus, but also I hope these are not the same people that worked on Andromeda, because if I get some googly-eyed
hey, Luke,
stormtrooper.
You all right? No, I got googly eyes, man. The force is not working today.
If my dude's like, I get Darth Vader who got eyeballs or something, like, I'm gonna be a little disappointed or something. But
bad.
Anyway,
bad at that.
But so how did you feel like as a whole? Like, you think it's worth getting the DLCs for Mass Effect Andromeda, or something you just you played it, that's it, and you're gonna move on?
The thing with I think I'm just gonna move on. I mean, it's hard for me because I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed playing it, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I skipped through a lot of dialogue. I skipped through a lot of like cutscenes because I was like, I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I already know what's gonna happen. I literally already know how it's gonna play out. I don't really care. If you already have the game and you like the game and you don't mind that the story's garbage, I would say get the DLC if you want to. I'm probably not. I played it through twice, and that's just because I like playing New Game Plus. I always like that. I like playing the game New Game Plus. So I played through it again to see if I could max out my character and put it on a harder difficulty, and I still didn't care about it. It's just that's a problem for me with games. Like, the story is just as important as how it looks.
Definitely.
I can forgive a lot of games that look like garbage if I'm invested in the story and the characters. I could be like, well, I know your eyeballs are kind of crazy, but this is such a good story. I got to see what happens. I didn't really care about this in Mass Effect Andromeda, and I think this is my personal opinion, this is why they kind of put it on the shelf for a little while, because of all that negative press that came out for it, and all the negative reviews and backlash and all those comments. I think they just were like, you know what, we should probably just take this L and just go do something else for a while. Maybe people forget that it was a terrible game. That's just my opinion.
Definitely.
There's no excuse for having a bad story, and it looked lazy. It just felt lazy. Like, who wrote this? Come on, man.
All right, we're going to come right back here for our last segment, the Generation Gaming Soapbox. We'll be right here, a little message for you guys real quick.
The revolution is coming, and a new era has arrived. The revolution to put the gamer's voice at the forefront of the video game industry. This is Generation Gaming's mission. Now it's up to you, the gamer, to join our revolution, to fight the tyranny from the video game industry. Help us help you, the gamer, get what you all deserve. The respect from the industry not to lie to us, the customer, quote unquote, to do what's right and take our opinions and comments into consideration more than it ever has been before. Stop giving us unfinished games by giving us multiple updates weeks after the initial release. Without the gamer, you have no industry. Without the gamer buying the $60 games and $400 consoles, what are you then? You're nothing. Nothing at all. Rise up, my friends and fellow gamers, and join Generation Gaming's revolution. Generation Gaming is the video game news outlet made for the gamers by the gamers. Join the revolution to put the gamer's voice first.
Shut up and sit down.
All right, welcome back to the Generation Gaming Podcast. Here, my good friend MightyMeSeeks. And just a little side note. It's the first time when he told me what he wanted, what he referred to on here, when he sent it to me, I thought it said MightyMeSeeks. And I laughed my ass off. But nonetheless. All right, so the Generation Soapbox today. So today we're going to... might sound like a little reiteration, but it's from a different person's perspective, and that's always what I try to make Generation Gaming about. I try to get gamers to come on the podcast that maybe people might feel a little bit, say, well, I've never done that before. I've never talked about how I felt about games, but I know people are passionate about it. So I'm trying to make Generation Gaming the voice for people who might not have a voice, but have a really strong opinion about it. But most of the people that I have on here have an opinion and then some. Which is exactly what I want. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into PlayStation Now and, the industry as a whole, giving us, regurgitated games, as my good friend here said on Facebook to me. I don't have a PS4 anymore, and I had one, and there's no particular reason why I got rid of it. I like a lot of the games; they're exclusive games. I just for whatever reason, I think the Xbox One is more of an entertainment console. It's more user friendly. Why PlayStation doesn't have a party system? I know. I just understand some of the stuff Sony does, and I know they want to be different, and that's understandable. But it's just it's really scratching my head. But anyway, this is not about that. This is about PlayStation Now and that. So I guess kind of what I kind of got out of it when I did check it out, when I had it, I wanted to see what it was like. The selection, the good things, I'll get the good before I give my opinions on the bad.
Yeah.
I thought the selection of the games was really good. I did like that. Subscription is, I guess you can call it reasonably priced. There's no storage concerns. That was a good thing. And then the PS1 and PS2 games, it's just like I said, there's a lot of them. That was pretty much the positives I got out of it. The negatives, like the rentals are pricey and just missing, many must-play games. I mean, maybe, the connection drop, equals game over. That just that's the short end of it. But I'll let you kind of take it. How are your perceptions? 'Cause you sound like you wanted to just annihilate Sony.
Well, you and me are old school gamers.
Right.
Like I said before, we come from when we didn't have this kind of service where you had to go out and get these games, and that now that we're older, those games are nostalgia for us. I like playing those old games, and I've been a PlayStation fan since PlayStation 1. I've been on PlayStation bandwagon since day one, even over Xbox back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's so many classic games that I love playing, that when I had the PS3, I'll start from here. The PS3 you could get, they was like, oh, the PS3 is out. You can play PS2 and PS1 games on here. You're like, what? That's awesome. This is literally my childhood. I love this. I love that I can play new things, but still play the old games. And I checked out PlayStation Now a while ago because I was curious. I wanted to know, because I knew that you couldn't play disc games of old PlayStation games on the PS4. So I was like, oh, well, they got these PS3 games on here. Let me check it out.
Stupid
And it's like you said a minute ago, they got all these games. I know they're missing a couple of games.
Yeah.
But they have all these games from your childhood, these old retro games. You're like, oh, that's so awesome. I want to play this old Ratchet and Clank game, this, Psychonauts and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and all this stuff.
Psychonauts.
But, yeah, no, right? I'm real old, man.
No, I love that. That was a good game, actually.
It was a great game. Just me mentioning that title, you're just like, yeah, that's a good game. But then I go on PlayStation Now, and I go to play the PlayStation 3 games. And not only do you have to sign up for the service, and I think they have it either you can buy, it's like $20 for a month and $45 for 3.
Right.
Which is kind of, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It is a lot, man.
That's a lot. Matter of fact, that's a lot for what they're giving you.
Yeah.
And I'll compare that to what Xbox does in a minute, so you not only got to pay you have to subscribe to PlayStation Now to have access to these games, and then you have to pay another fee just to rent the games.
Wow.
Rent the games. Bro, okay, let me tell you right now. I don't have a problem with you wanting to rent the games because maybe, I'm looking at these games like, I don't know if I really want to play this game.
Yeah.
Let me just try it out for a day or two.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I know I'm going to play that game for the rest of my damn life. I know I'm going to play that game forever, okay?
You're right.
I don't want to rent it for 3 days and then you're like, it's kind of like, to me, it's like this really, worst way of arcade gaming where you're like, continue, add more quarters. You're like, oh, okay. Nah, bro.
Right.
You don't get no more quarters from me. I gave you $15. You let me have that damn game.
Right.
That's what bothers me, that I can't own the PS3 games. I think you can own the PS2 games because I've downloaded some old Grand Theft Auto games, like Grand Theft Auto I think 3.
Yeah.
And Vice City, I think which is one of my favorites. We won't get started on the Grand Theft Auto series. Those are my favorite series. But which is cool. But I'm like, but what about the PS3 games? And here's what I think, because now I've read that they're doing that Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and it's going to be basically the same 3 games, remastered. And I'm like, okay. but maybe I want to see those awkward polygons and those polygon things from when I used to play. Maybe I want to play that. Like, let me just buy the game so I can play it. But they won't let you do that. And I actually, because I'm super petty, I might as well change my name to Super Petty 9000. I contacted PlayStation because I was at a point. Don't make fun of me, but I was at a point where I was just so mad. I was so mad at PlayStation for just not letting me buy this damn game. It don't even matter what game it was. I don't even remember what it was anymore. I was just so mad that I had to pay $20 to rent a game for a week. That pissed me off. Yeah. So I contacted them. I actually got on a chat with somebody, and I was like, "Hey man, how come I can't buy this game outright? Like, what's the deal? Like, why do I have to rent the game for a week?"
Right.
And they told me, this is what they told me, that it wasn't up to PlayStation. It was a developer's decision. That's what they told me. And I was like, oh, okay. That. And then they kind of disconnected. I'm not even playing. They just stopped the chat.
That's a bunch of horse shit right there.
That's what they told me. I wish, had I known that, I would have saved the message and I'd have sent it to you. But that's what they told me. And that just made me more mad. So now, every month, I send them an angry email telling them how much I hate them. That's not the point. But then I look at Xbox. Like I told you before, I've never been on the Xbox bandwagon. Not that I hated it, but I was like, no, it's not my system.
Right.
I don't really want to do a console war.
That's cool.
You do your thing, that's fine.
That's totally understandable.
My girl got an Xbox One. My own girl.
Right.
And play with that because I'm like, all right, I'll check out the Xbox. I'll check it out. I went on there and they have the Xbox Gold, where you pay like $50 for the year. Or
pretty much,
like
yeah.
And I'm like, damn, $50 because I'm super petty. Like I'm super cheap.
It's all good, man. Yeah, I totally understand that.
$50, shoot, you better send me a happy birthday text every day, like something. You better call and ask me how I'm doing for $50. But then I got to playing with it, and I was like, okay. So I pay $50 for the year, and every month you give me 3 free games to download?
4.
It's 4 now? Damn.
Well, you get like 2 backwards compatible ones, and you get 2 games.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they'll release it like you'll get, in the beginning of the month, you get an Xbox One, and then you'll get a Xbox 360, and then like it'll be like another month from that, you'll get like at the end of the month, it'll be same thing, but different game, obviously. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't know they were doing the Xbox One games also. I knew it was. Actually, I did know that.
Yeah, it's both.
I always just see that as 3, but if it's 4, that's even better. That's even.
Yeah.
Now, even if there are games that you don't want to play, because I checked on some stuff like there, and I'm like, I'm not playing that game, but if it's free,
I download it anyway.
Play it for free.
Yeah.
You know, and I know people be like, "Oh, it's not free because you pay $50."
Yeah.
Son, you download 3 games, you already paid for it. It's already paid for itself, and now you got 11 more months of games that I'm looking at like, well, I wouldn't normally pay any money for that, but if it's free, I'll try it out. And I play games where I'm like, wow, this is actually a lot more fun than I thought. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't pay for it, but this is fun. So for me, and the fact that they also, even if you don't do that service, you can go on there, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but they do have the backwards compatibility for 360 games.
Yes.
And if you have the disc, you can put it in there and download the data to make it compatible, or you can just buy the 360 game outright. Because I know, I've downloaded like Fable 2, Fable 3, and Red Dead Redemption, one of my favorite games of all time. And it's backwards compatible, and I'm just like, well, shit. And the thing is, this is what really gets me as a gamer is like, if you're willing to do stuff like that, I'm willing to look at some more ridiculous things that you're willing to do and take my money. If you're like, hey, give us $50 for this DLC, you'll be like, well, you did give me like 18 free games last month. All right, Xbox, I'll let you take my wallet.
Put it this way.
I'm more willing as a gamer to invest myself in things that I normally wouldn't if I know that you have my back as a console. That's what I'm saying.
No, I totally get this. Put it this way. Just like little stats, little info. In 2015, Xbox for Games of Gold gave us $900 worth of games. In 2016, it was $930 worth of games. That's just a deal. I mean, come on, think about how much that is. And like, you're only literally, if you wanted to pay it month by month, it's $10 a month for Xbox Live. Yeah. And that's, I mean, come on. Like, it's a lot of... And the other good thing I do like, and I know they do the same thing on PlayStation, is the deals that you get too for having Xbox Live are definitely worth it too. Because some of those deals, like they just had although it was probably one of the biggest disappointments, they just had their spring sale, and it was actually one of the worst ones I think I can remember. Like the category, the games were like, wow, it's kind of
for PlayStation.
For Xbox, I mean, they just did a spring sale, and I know they do the same thing on PlayStation, but it was just kind of, that's what I'm saying, like the huge difference. And I know that the reason why I think they don't do backwards compatibility for PlayStation is trying to force the gamers into the future, and that's fine. I understand that, but what's the point of having PlayStation now? You might as well just do backwards compatibility. I mean, I know they're trying to make a buck off of it. Just charge the price you want to charge and let you keep it. Whatever they say doesn't make sense. It doesn't make me change my opinion on it. Like, future or not, great, cool, but you can't just blow on the past like it didn't happen, because we wouldn't have the future, in the games we do. But
exactly, I totally agree with that. Like, it's like, because I'm gonna be a old stubborn dude. Like, I'm not doing no future stuff, but
right.
I know that that's going to be part of the new gamers now, and that's totally fine. But I'm like, PlayStation, you got players that have been playing with you since like you first came out, who supported you. Like, I want to play these old games. That's to me, that should tell you that I'm still invested in you, and I still want to play these games, even if it's been like 20 years. I still want to play them. But if you're going to nickel and dime me, bro, you can't nickel and dime me.
No.
I'm too cheap for that. So it just seems like, to me, they don't really care about the gaming itself. They care about the next thing. Because I've seen some of these PlayStation, like, these blowout sales that they get. And there's maybe like one or two things I would look at, but I still don't get it because I'm like, I don't really care about this. None of this stuff is stuff that I would want to play with. Whereas Xbox, even though they might have bad sales, I would trust an Xbox sale over a PlayStation sale. And I don't even play the PlayStation no more unless it's like, I mean, when Kingdom Hearts 3 come out, I'm gonna have to get back on that bandwagon.
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna
get that.
I'm sorry. But I'm not going to support PlayStation doing extra things because I know, to me, they feel like they don't really care about the gamers in general. They just want to put out the next thing, and they're like you said, force you into buying new things, force you into the future, and kind of disregard the stuff that made people love them in the first place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think, because, and I'm using this as speculation with the whole, Crash Bandicoot remaster thing coming out.
Man.
I think that might be something that they're going to be doing a lot more of. It's just taking these old games, and instead of letting you play the old version, they're going to remaster it and sell it for $60.
That's okay. I don't mind that to some extent, but it's kind of going to correlate what we're going to go into. We got a few minutes, like about 5-10 minutes left on the show. But I'm sorry, finish your real quick.
No, go ahead. We'll move on because I'll be here all day, man. I'll come on in and talk about some stuff, man.
No, that's good. Kind of correlates to what you're saying, like the whole. I don't mind some remastered games, but I don't think you should shoot them down. And that's what they do. With a good thing about Xbox is the Xbox One and the remastered games from 360. You can get a lot of the times when they make a remastered game, you can usually get the original version backwards compatible, and that's not always the case, but it's most of the time. But that's kind of correlated with what we're here. We got a few minutes left. Is what I've been trying to do also with Generation Gaming is get gamers to get our voices here by companies that try to take advantage of us. And when I mean that, I say like for like here's a good example. When they made, I think it was either Battlefield 3 or 4, and I know I've said this before, but it's a great example. Mm-hmm. They came out with the game, and they had so many issues with it that the shareholders actually sued sued EA. Like, that's bad. Like, there were so many bugs in the game that they got sued by their own shareholders. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, man. Like, really? Your own shareholders? Seriously? Like, I just like, and that right there is just like should have been a light bulb for all the people that buy games. And I know there's going to people, I could shout till my voice is hard and dry, but there's always going to be people who are going to buy video games. I feel it's no matter, it's unfortunate. I wish people would take more time to research and think about what you're buying and try to look at it. And I know everybody feels like doing that, but you would save yourself a lot of aggravation, a lot of time, money. I mean, it just like to me, I mean, that's me on it. But I know you were talking about it as well, calling them regurgitated.
No, yeah, they're definitely regurgitated, and you can do all the research you want, and you definitely got to take the time to look at it. But people are still going to buy these games, and I think the developers and the studios know that. And a lot of the times, it looks to me like they're just kind of putting out games and hoping that the prestige of the title will get you to buy the next one, and they don't put a lot of effort into it. Ubisoft does that with Assassin's Creed for a while, where it's just like, oh, it's Assassin's Creed. I'm like, yeah, but this is terrible. Like, what is this? They put out Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I'm like, that's the best pirate game I've ever played, but this is not no damn Assassin's Creed.
Right.
Like, don't do that. Like, Call of Duty does that a lot, and I think they put out these games, and they just know you're going to buy it. Yep. They don't really care. Like when you play these games, it's laziness. It's kind of like they're just saying, like, we know you're going to buy it anyway. Go ahead and get it. And you're like, okay. That's what it seems like to me. Like Call of Duty should have stopped making Call of Duty games. You can still make games like that, but don't call it Call of Duty. You went from World War II to damn near Transformers in space. What are you doing? What are you doing
I get it,
bro? Like,
I totally understand it. I'm glad that they're going back to the World War II thing, but that's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. To me, it's just like they're just. And you said it earlier, like sports games get a pass because they update the rosters. There's new things that they do with the new technology.
Or wrestling games, same thing. But
wrestling games are the same thing. Like that, they get a pass. You're just like, well, yeah. What else you got? Like, let me see some new stuff. Yeah. There's always new wrestlers, new players, new stuff. Hey, they get a pass. But come on, man. Don't be putting out 37. Don't turn your game franchise to Fast and Furious. Don't be just putting out stuff to be putting out stuff. Like my example would be like the Arkham series. They put out Batman Arkham Asylum, and Arkham City didn't come out for like a couple years. They didn't just put out, oh, we got gold. Everyone likes Batman Arkham Asylum. Let's put out more Batman
really,
stuff. They're like,
much.
nah, we're gonna chill. Rockstar does that too, where they take their time. Like, how long was it between GTA 4 and 5? Like, it was a long time.
It was a long time. That's why you get the hype with it. You get the understanding that, man, I can't wait for it to come out, man. I mean, GTA 5 is a great game. I'm still playing it online. I'm playing that game. I'm still playing that game. And I played it about 3 times through, and I'm on my 4th. This is my first time actually playing it through on the Xbox One. It's a little different, like tiny bit things, but obviously visuals and the first-person mode, which I think is really weird and I don't like. Anyway. But
like, Rockstar can do that because they have the reputation of, they know when they put out games, they know you're just going to be good.
Right.
Right. Like if they say, oh, we're going to put out another Grand Theft Auto, but it won't be for 10 years. Like, well, damn it, I'm going to wait 10 years because I know it's going to be worth the wait.
Same thing with Fallout.
I feel like Ubisoft and all these other Activision, all these people, you can take a couple years off and make a really good game, and I guarantee you, people are not going to complain about it. They might be, impatient.
Yeah.
But that's just because we want to play it. When you put a game out every single year, I don't really care anymore. I'm like, oh, another Assassin's Creed? Maybe I'll play it if it's free download. Right. But even then, I don't even know if I'm going to do that. I don't feel like that urge of wanting to play those games anymore.
No, I totally get it. I completely understand that. Because I've been feeling like that for a while, and I hope there's a change. And that's what Generation Gaming is going to try to do. I'm going to try to find a way, and I know I can, to find a way that we can maybe get the industry to listen to us, the gamers, so maybe be beneficial for everybody. So,
if you need somebody else to come on here and rant some more, I already emailed PlayStation before. I don't care. I point them in my direction. I'll yell at somebody. I don't care.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad you came on today, man. This is really cool, man. This is a really good show, and I definitely look forward to having you back again because I think there's a lot we could talk about and a lot we could express to the gaming community. I appreciate. Thanks for coming on, man.
If you want me to come back, man, I'll definitely complain about some more stuff. Hopefully, I'll talk about some good things. But yeah, no,
that's all right, man. That's what we got to. You got to let everybody know how it is. Well, thank you again. Thank you everybody for listening. This is Generation Gaming Podcast with good friend MightyMeSeeks. Thanks again, man, for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Look forward to coming back here, bro.
All right, man. I am Jay Lewis. This is Generation Gaming, the video game news outlet made for the gamers, by the gamers. Join the revolution to put the gamer's voice first.
This is the Generation Gaming Podcast Network, the home for all your video game news podcast. The solo podcast, Jay Lewis's 2 cents. Jay Lewis gives an unfiltered perspective of the video game industry. The monthly podcast that is the Generation Gaming Podcast. News and headlines, video game releases, and the Generation Soapbox. and the most controversial video game debate show out there, Generation Rivals. It's all here on Generation Gaming, the video game news outlet made for the gamers by the gamers. Join the revolution to put the gamers' voice first.